Hello everyone, my name is PINDARUS, I'm a slave, and my master is CASSIUS. He's asked me to keep a record of his plan to save the Republic and the freedom of everyone. Well, I mean, not me, I'm a slave, but freedom more generally, freedom for my master. I'm on board to be sure, and CASSIUS is a great guy. We want history to be able to look back and see how it all happened. So I'll try to get as much as I can on record. I mean, I'm in isolation right now, so the pandemic is starting to set in. Everything went crazy all at once. There's the pandemic, the economic crisis, the climate crisis, the political crisis, everything. And right now, the Republic as we know it is under threat. One man is trying to assume absolute power. So unless somebody stops him, the rule of law will be replaced by a leadership cult. The cult of Julius Caesar. That's where we are right now. And that's where Cassius comes in. He's not going to let that happen.
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I was born free as Caesar. So were you. We have both fed as well and can both endure winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darest thou, Cassius, now leap into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in and bade him to follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming with the hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink!" I, as Aeneas, our greatest ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulders the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I the tired Caesar. And now this man is become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature who must bend his body as Caesar carelessly but not on him. He had a fever when he was in Spain, and when the fit was on him, he did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. His coward lips did from their colour fly, and that same eye whose bend doth awe the world did lose his lustre. I did hear him groan, and those tongues that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books, alas, it cried, "Give me some drink, Titinius," as a sick girl. Oh, ye gods, it doth amaze me a man of such feeble temper should so get the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone.
Caesar's plot to take over Rome became a lot more obvious when he took out his rival, Pompey. There was a big public fuss when he returned home from the battle, but I wanted to get a sense of the word on the street. So I spoke with one individual who braved the pandemic to go out to the rally. This is obviously before the orders to stay at home had really taken effect.
Well, it was like a holiday, really. We all knocked off work and went down to see Caesar and hear about his big triumph over Pompey. But a couple of the old Pompey geezers, they were having a fit, you know? "Hence! Home, you idle creatures! Get you home! Is this a holiday? Speak, what trade art thou?" "Trade? Well, sir, in respect of a fine workman, I am but, as you would say, a cobbler." He says, "But what trade art thou? Answer me directly." A bit snotty like, right? I says, A trade, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls. What trade, thou knave, thou naughty knave, what trade? Nay, I beseech you, sir, be not out with me. Yet if you be out, sir, I can mend you. Huh? So then the other geezer steps in, he's a little smarter. Thou art a cobbler, art thou? I says, truly, sir, indeed, sir, I am a surgeon. To old shoes. When they are in great danger, I recover them. As proper men as ever trod on neat's leather have gone upon my handiwork. He says, but wherefore art thou not in my shop today? Why dost thou lead these men about the streets? I says, truly, sir, to wear out their shoes to get myself into more work. Finally, I says, but indeed, sir, we make holiday to see Caesar and to rejoice in his triumph. So then the first one has a fit. That was not what he wanted to hear at all. Wherefore rejoice? What conquest brings he home? What tributaries follow him to Rome to grace in captive bonds his chariot wheels? You blocks, you stones, you worse than senseless things, you deplorables! He's starting to lose it now. You cruel men of Rome, know you not Pompey? He says, begone! Run to your houses, he says. Fall upon your knees, pray to the gods to intermit the virus that's falling now on this ingratitude. I mean, come on, right?
Those two tribunes started pulling Caesar's victory flags off of their statues, saying, and I quote, "These growing feathers plucked from Caesar's wing will make him fly an ordinary pitch, who else would soar above the view of men, and keep us all in servile fearfulness." But they soon found out that resisting the rise of Caesar can be dangerous. Word came out that Caesar's gang caught up with them and that they had been put to silence. Whatever that means in this new regime. Fast forward to the Feast of Lupercal, Caesar and his train were on their way to the marketplace to watch the festivities when the whole parade was brought to a halt by this man.
I see things and then they come true. Don't ask, I don't know why. My sister, she had triplets, and I predicted that, 2-3 years before she was even pregnant. Now that's just one example. In Caesar's case, I saw the date, the Ides of March. Now, I saw a danger for Caesar, or at least I saw there was a danger. I couldn't quite make out what it was. So this is on the Feast of Lupercal. Caesar's about to walk by. Quick thinking needed, no time to lose. So, do I keep this to myself? No, I couldn't let it go. I had to do it. So I yelled, "Caesar!" Well, that stopped the whole show. Caesar says, "Who calls?" And I kept quiet. Then, "Speak. Caesar has turned to hear." Well, I'm laying low. I'm not saying anything. But everyone's waiting. So I just went with the only thing that I was sure of, the date. Beware the Ides of March. Well, that's all I knew. But Caesar, set him before me, let me see his face. I said to myself, oh shit, here we go. So up I go, and Caesar says to me, "What dost thou say to me now? Speak once again." So I just said it again. Beware the Ides of March. He just brushes me off. He's a dreamer. Let us leave him. And off they toddled. I was just trying to do him a favor.
My name is CASCA. I do a little crowd control for Caesar. You know, telling the rabble to shut up when Caesar wants to speak, that sort of thing. So, we're in procession. Things are moving along nice and smoothly. And Caesar suddenly decides he's got something he wants to say to his wife, CALPURNIA. I'm thinking, what, you couldn't have told her this whatever it is when you were at home? But I do my job. Peace, ho! Caesar speaks. And they all shut up, and CALPURNIA has to step up and say, "Here, my lord." And Caesar says to her, "Stand you directly in Antonius's way when he doth run his course." Then he calls for Mark Antony. "Antonius," he calls him. And Antony steps up. "Caesar, my lord." And Caesar says, "Forget not in your speed, Antonius, to touch CALPURNIA, for our elders say, the barren touch it in this holy chase, shake off their sterile curse." And I'm thinking, wow, you are really a first-class jerk, aren't you? He's basically saying, in front of everyone, she's not pregnant, but it's not my fault, it's hers. And of course, nobody says anything, as usual. Mark Antony kisses ass, as usual. I shall remember when Caesar says, "Do this," it is performed. That attitude, that is pure authoritarianism. That's not how a republic works.
Cassius will try to figure out a way to approach Casca about his plans, but you have to be careful. You don't want to say the wrong thing to the wrong person here. Don't be hasty. Now, I mean, Casca would make a good ally, but the real catch would be the noble Brutus. So Cassius gave him a call.
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men and sometimes are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth Caesar feed that makes him grow so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. When could they say till now, that talked of Rome, that her wide walls encompassed but one man?
That you do love me, I am nothing jealous. What you would work me to, I have some aim. How I've thought of this and of these times, I shall recount hereafter. For this present I would not, so with love I might entreat you, be any further moved. What you have said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear, and find out time both meet to hear and answer such high things. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions that this time is like to lay upon us.
Okay, that's not quite Brutus agreeing to join a conspiracy, but he's getting close. And Cassius knows that Brutus is the key player here, and if he can get Brutus on board, then they're coming into this on the moral high ground. As they say, the good thing to do is as the good man does, and Brutus is the model of the good man. Meanwhile, Caesar's plans to take over were advancing. He and Mark Antony floated a trial balloon in the marketplace to see how the crowd would react.
Aye, you left a text. Would you speak with me? Why, you were with Caesar, were you not? Why, there was a crown offered him, and being offered him, he put it by with the back of his hand, thus. And then the people fell a-shouting. Why, the second noise was for that too. Why, the third was for that too. Ay, marry, 'twas offered him thrice, and he put it by thrice, each time gentler than the other, and at every putting by my honest neighbors shouted their approval. Why, 'twas Antony offered him the crown. I can as well be hanged as tell the manner of it. It was mere foolery, I did not mark it. I saw Mark Antony offer him a crown, yet 'twas not a crown neither, 'twas one of those coronets. And as I told you, he put it by once. But for all that, to my thinking, he fain would have had it. Then they offered it to him again, and he put it by again. But to my thinking, he was very loath to lay his fingers off of it. And then he offered a third time, he put it the third time by, and still, as he refused it, the rabblement hooted and clapped their chapped hands and threw up their sweaty nightcaps and uttered such a deal of stinking breath because Caesar refused the crown that it had almost choked Caesar, for he swooned and fell down at it. And for my own part, I durst not laugh for fear of opening my lips and receiving the bad air. If anyone had the virus, it would be them. Aye, he fell down in the marketplace and foamed at the mouth and was speechless. Aye, the falling sickness. We are the ones who have it. I know not what you mean by that, but I am sure Caesar fell down. If the ragtag people did not clap and hiss him according as they pleased and displeased him, as they used to do the players in the theater, I am no true man. Mary, before he fell down, when he perceived the common herd was glad he refused the crown, he plucked me ope his doublet and offered them his throat to cut. And I had been a man of any occupation, if I had not have taken him at a word, I would I might go to hell among the rogues. And so he fell. When he came to himself again, he said if he had done or said anything amiss, he desired their worships to think it his infirmity. 3 or 4 wenches where I stood cried, Alas, good soul, and forgave him with all their hearts. But there's no heed to be taken of them. If Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have done no less. Aye, that's why you saw the angry spot glowing on Caesar's brow when he came away. Cicero, aye, he spoke Greek. Nay, and I tell you what he said, I'll ne'er look you in the face again. But those who understood him smiled and shook their heads. But for my own part, it was Greek to me. Fare ye well. There was more foolery yet, if I could remember it.
Casca now puts on this tardy form. This rudeness is a sauce to his good wit, which gives men's stomach to digest his words with better appetite. And Brutus, he is noble, yet I see his honorable metal may be wrought, from that it is disposed. Therefore it is meet that noble minds keep ever with their likes, for who's so firm that cannot be seduced? Caesar doth bear me hard, but he loves Brutus. And after this let Caesar seat him sure, for we will shake him, or worse days endure.
we got a little insight into Caesar's opinion of my master Cassius, thanks to this recording made by one of my colleagues.
Let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. Yond Cassius has a lean and hungry look. He thinks too much. Such men are dangerous. Would he were fatter, but I fear him not. Yet if my name were liable to fear, I do not know the man I should avoid so soon as that spare Cassius. He reads much. He is a great observer, and he looks quite through the deeds of men. He loves no plays as thou dost, Antony. He hears no music. Seldom he smiles, and smiles in such a way as if he'd mocked himself and scorned his spirit that could be moved to smile at anything. Such men as he be never at heart's ease whilst they behold a greater than themselves, and therefore are they very dangerous. I rather tell thee what is to be feared, rather than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. I'm doing a great job.
Are you not moved when all the sway in earth shakes like a thing unfirm? Oh, Cassius, I have seen tempests when the scolding winds have rived the knotty oaks, and I have seen the ambitious oceans swell and rage and foam to be exalted with the threatening clouds. But never till tonight, never till now, did I go through a tempest dropping fire. Either there is a civil strife in the heavens, or else the world, too saucy with the gods, incenses them to send destruction. A common slave, you know him well by sight, held up his left hand, which did flame and burn like 20 torches joined, and yet his hand, not sensible of fire, remained unscorched. Against the Capitol I met a lion, who glared upon me and went surly by, without annoying me. And there were drawn upon a heap 100 ghastly women, transformed with their fear, who swore they saw men all in fire walk up and down the streets. And yesterday the bird of night did sit even at noonday upon the marketplace, hooting and shrieking. When these prodigies do so conjointly meet, let no man say these are their reasons, they are natural. For I do believe they are portentous things unto the climate that they point upon.
You're dull, CASCA. And those sparks of life that should be in a Roman you do want, or else you use not. You look pale and gaze, and put on a fear, and cast yourself in wonder to see the strange impatience of the heavens. But if you would consider the true cause, why all these fires, why all these gliding ghosts, why birds and beasts from quality and kind, why old men fool and children calculate, why all these things that change from their ordinance, their natures and their performed faculties, to monstrous quality, why, you shall find that heaven hath infused them with these spirits, to make them instruments of fear and warning unto some monstrous state. Now, could I, CASCA, name to thee a man most like this dreadful night, that thunders, lightens, open graves, and roars as doth the lion in the Capitol? A man no mightier than thyself or I, in personal action, yet prodigious grown and fearful, as these strange eruptions are.
That 'tis Caesar that you mean, is it not, Cassius?
Let it be who it is.
Indeed. They say the senators tomorrow mean to establish Caesar as king, and he shall wear his crown on land and sea, in every place save here in Italy.
I know where I will wear this dagger then. Cassius from bondage will deliver Cassius. Therein, ye gods, you make the weak most strong. Therein, ye gods, you tyrants do defeat. Nor stony tower, nor walls of beaten brass, nor airless dungeon, nor strong links of iron can be retentive to the strength of spirit. Life, being weary of these worldly bars, never lacks the power to dismiss itself. If I know this, and all the world besides, that part of tyranny that I do bear, I can shake off with pleasure.
And so can I. So every bondman in his own hand bears the power to cancel his captivity.
And why should Caesar be a tyrant then? Poor man. Oh, I know he would be not a wolf, but that he sees that the Romans are but sheep. He were no lion, were not the Romans hinds. Those that with haste will make a mighty fire begin it with weak straws. What trash is Rome? What rubbish and what awful when it serves for the base matter so to illuminate so vile a thing as Caesar. But oh grief, where hast thou led me? I perhaps speak this before a willing bondman, and I know my answer must be made. But I am armed, and dangers are to me indifferent.
You speak to CASCA, and to such as man as is no fearing telltale. Be factious in redress of these griefs, and I will set this foot of mine as far as who goes farthest.
Fist bump. Come on. Come on. Come on. There's a bargain made.
It must be by his death. And for mine part, I know no personal cause to spurn at him but for the general. He would be crowned. How that might change his nature, there's the question. 'Tis the bright day that brings forth the adder and craves weary walking. Crown him? That... And then, I grant, we put a sting in him that at his will he may do damage with. Then lest he may prevent. And therefore think him as an serpent's egg, which hatched would, as his kind, grow mischievous, and kill him in the shell. Since Cassius did wet me against Caesar, I have not slept. Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. The genius and the mortal instruments are then in council, and the state of man, like to a little kingdom, suffers then the nature of an insurrection. O Rome, I make thee promise. If the redress will follow, thou receivest thy full petition at the hand of Brutus.
And let us swear our resolution.
No, not an oath. If these motives be weak, break off betimes, and every man hence to his idle bed, so let high-sighted tyranny range on. What need we any spur but our own cause to prick us to redress? What other bond than the secret Romans that have spoke the word and will not palter? And what other oath than honesty to honesty engaged, that this shall be, or we will fall for it?
But what of Cicero? Shall we sound him? I think he will stand very strong with us.
Oh, let us have him, for his silver hairs will purchase us a good opinion. And by men's voices to commend our deeds, it shall be said, his judgment ruled our hands. Our youths and wildness shall no whit appear, but all be buried in his gravity.
Name him not. Let us not break with him, for he will never follow anything that other men begin.
Indeed, he is not fit. Shall no man else be touched, but only Caesar?
Decius, well urged. I think it is not meet Mark Antony, so well beloved of Caesar, should outlive Caesar. Oh, we shall find of him a shrewd contriver. And you know his means, if he improve them, may well stretch so far as to annoy us all, which to prevent, let Antony and Caesar fall together.
Our course will seem too bloody, Caius Cassius, to cut the head off and hack the limbs, like wrath in death and envy afterwards, for Antony is but a limb of Caesar. Let us be sacrificers, but not butchers, Caius. We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of man there is no blood. Oh, that then we could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar. But alas, Caesar must bleed for it. And, gentle friend, let's kill him boldly, but not wrathfully. Let's carve him as a dish fit for the gods, not hew him as a carcass fit for hounds. This shall make our purpose seem necessary and not envious. Which so appearing to the common eyes, we shall be called purgers and not murderers. As for Mark Antony, think not of him, for he can do no more than Caesar's arm when Caesar's head is off.
Yet I fear him, for in the engrafted love he bears to Caesar.
Alas, good Cassius, do not think of him. If he loves Caesar, all that he can do is to himself take thought and die for Caesar. Good gentlemen, look fresh and merrily. Do not let our looks put on our purposes, but bear it as our Roman actors do, with untired spirits and formal constancy. And so, good morrow to you, good gentlemen.
But it is doubtful yet whether Caesar will come forth today or no, for he is superstitious grown of late, quite from the main opinion he held once of fantasy, of dreams and ceremonies. It may be these apparent prodigies, the unaccustomed terror of this night, and the persuasion of his augurers may keep him from the capital today.
Never fear that, for if he be so resolved, I can o'ersway him. For he loves to hear that unicorns may be betrayed with trees, lions with toils, men with flatterers. For when I tell him he hates flatterers, he says he does, being then most flattered. Let me work, for I can give his humor the true bent, and I will bring him to the capital.
Dear my lord, nor for yours neither. You've ungently, Brutus, stole from my bed, and yesternight at supper you suddenly arose and walked about, musing and sighing with your arms across. And when I asked you what the matter was, you stared upon me with ungentle looks. I urged you further, then you scratched your head and too impatiently stamped with your foot. Yet I insisted, yet you answered not, but with an angry wafture of your hand gave sign for me to leave you. So I did, fearing to strengthen that impatience which seemed too much enkindled, but withal hoping it was but an effect of humour which sometime hath his hour with every man. It will not let you eat, nor talk, nor sleep, and could it work so much upon your shape as it hath much prevailed on your condition, I should not know you, Brutus. Dear my lord, make me acquainted with your cause of grief. Brutus is wise, and were he not in health, he would embrace the means to come by it. Is Brutus sick? And is it physical to walk unbraced and suck up the humours of the dank morning? What, is Brutus sick, and does he steal out of his wholesome bed To dare the vile contagions of the street? And tempt the rheumy and unpurged air to drop the deadly virus? No, my Brutus. You have some sick offense within your mind, which, by the right and virtue of my place, I ought to know of. By all your vows of love, and that great vow which did incorporate and make us one, that you unfold to me yourself your half, why you were heavy, and what men tonight have had to resort to you, for here have been some 6 or 7 who did hide their faces, even from darkness. Within the bonds of marriage, tell me, Brutus, is it accepted that I should know no secrets that appertain to you? Am I yourself but as it were in sort or limitation, to keep with you at meals, comfort your bed, and talk to you sometimes? Dwell I in the suburbs of your good pleasure? If it be no more, Portia is Brutus's harlot, not his wife. If this were true, I should know this secret. I grant I am a woman, but withal a woman that Lord Brutus took to wife. Tell me your counsels. I will not disclose them.
Brutus, vouchsafing good morrow from a feeble tongue. Your message said, would you were not sick, but I am not sick. If Brutus have in hand any endeavor worthy of the name of honor, if so... If so, by all the gods that Romans bow before, I here discard my sickness. A soul of Rome, brave son derived from honorable loins, thou, like an exorcist, has conjured up my mortified spirit. Now bid me run, and I will strive with the things impossible. Yea, get the better of them. What's to do? A piece of work will make sick men whole? And are not some men whole that must be made sick? Set on your foot, and with a heart new fired, I follow you to do I know not what, but it sufficeth that Brutus leads me on. And no need to worry, I will wear my mask.
I woke up, and Caesar wasn't in the bed. I got up to find him getting ready to go out for the day. I said, "What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of this house today." He said, "Caesar shall forth. The things that threaten me never but looked on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished." What can I say? He was a stubborn man. I said, "Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies, yet now they fright me. There is one within, besides the things that we have heard and seen, recounts most horrid sights seen by the watch. A lioness hath whelped in the streets, and graves have yawned and yielded up their dead. Fierce, fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons, and right form of war which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. The noise of battle hurtled in the air, horses did neigh, and dying men did groan, and ghosts did shriek and squeal about the streets, as hornets of a monstrous size appeared. O Caesar! These things are beyond all use, and I do fear them." He said, "Yet Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar." I said, "When beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes." He laughed aloud and said, "Cowards die many times before their death. The valiant never taste of death but once." Finally, I said, "Alas, my lord, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house, and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate house, and he shall say you are not well today. Let me upon my knee, prevail in this. I was literally on my knees. And finally he listened and relented. Mark Antony shall say I am not well, and for thy humor I will stay at home. And I felt a heavy weight was lifting from me. But that relief was not to be for long. For DECIUS came and shattered it forever.
I said, "All hail, good morrow, worthy Caesar. I come to fetch you to the Senate House." Calpurnia was trying to make me tell them that he was sick and worried about the virus, but Caesar wouldn't have it said in public. Have I in conquest stretched mine arm so far to be afraid to tell graybeards the truth? He said, "Go tell them Caesar will not come." I said, "Most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so." He said, "The cause is in my will, I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. But for your private satisfaction, because I love you, I will let you know. Calpurnia here, my wife, stays me at home. She dreamt tonight she saw my statua, which like a fountain with 100 spouts did run pure blood. And many lusty Romans came smiling and did bathe their hands in it. And these does she apply for warnings, portents, and evils imminent. And on her knee hath begged that I will stay at home today." I said, "This dream is all misinterpreted. It was a vision, fair and fortunate, your statue, spouting blood in many pipes, in which so many smiling Romans did bathe, signifies that from you great Rome shall suck reviving blood, and that great men shall press for tinctures, stains, relics, and cognizance. This, by Calpurnia's dream, is signified." Caesar liked that. So I told him, "And know it now, the Senate have concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. If you shall send them word you will not come, their minds may change. Besides, it were a mock apt to be rendered for someone to say, 'Break up the Senate till another time, when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams.' If Caesar hide himself, will they not whisper, 'Lo, Caesar is afraid'? And that, my friends, is how I came to fetch him and lead him to the end of his career."
"I prithee, boy, get thee to the Senate House. Stay not to answer me, but get thee gone." "Why dost thou stay?"
"To know my errand, madam."
"I would have had thee there and here again, ere I can tell thee what thou shouldst do there. Oh, Constancy, be strong upon my side. Set a huge mountain between my heart and tongue. Art thou here yet?"
"Madam, what would you have me do? Run to the capital and nothing else, and so return to you and nothing else?"
"Yes. Bring me word, boy, if thy lord look well, for he went sickly forth. And take good note what Caesar doth, what suitors press to him. Hark, boy, what noise was that?"
"I hear none, madam."
"Prithee, listen well. I heard a bustling rumor like a fray, and the wind brings it from the capital."
"Sooth, madam, I hear nothing."
"Ay me, I must go in. O Brutus, the heavens speed thee in thine enterprise. Brutus hath a suit that Caesar will not grant. I grow faint. Run, Lucius, and commend me to my lord. Say that I am merry. Come to me again and bring me word what he doth say to thee. Go,
Go, go, go, go, go, go, go, go, go, go, go, go!
This was still coming. Whatever it was, some kind of danger for Caesar. None that I knew would be, much that I feared may chance. And I was out in the street. I was looking for an opening to present my suit. And Caesar saw me there. And he remembered me. And he stared me down and he said, "The Ides of March have come." And he's passing me by. He's going a little further away. And I said, "Aye, Caesar, but not gone."
First person I saw when I walked into the Senate House, Popilius. He leaned in a little too close and said, "I wish you well today on your enterprise." I said, "What enterprise, Popilius?" And he just said, "Fare you well," and went on his way. I told Brutus about it, and we both agreed to keep an eye on Popilius as he approached Caesar. I said to CASCA, "Be constant, for we fear prevention. We cannot fail, or I will kill myself." And Brutus piped up, the voice of reason, and said, "Cassius, be constant. Popilius Lena knows not of our purposes, for look, he smiles, and Caesar doth not change." And he was right. And I was breathing again. And then Trebonius showed he knew his time. He drew Mark Antony out of the way. Metellus Cimber went to talk to Caesar. And Casca followed, with his knife concealed.
The first suit of the day for Caesar was presented by Metellus Cimber on behalf of his brother Publius, who was banished by Caesar. He would ask that the banishment decision be reversed, and Brutus and Cassius and the others would back him up. Metellus laid it on pretty thick, saying, "Most high, most mighty, most puissant Caesar." But Caesar called him on it. "I must prevent thee, Cimber. These couchings and these lowly courtesies might fire the blood of ordinary men, but not Caesar." He says, "Thy brother by decree is banished, and if thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spurn thee like a dog out of my way. Know that Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied." Then Brutus steps in, and things got tense. He said, "I kiss thy hand, but not in flattery, Caesar, desiring of thee that Publius Cimber may have an immediate freedom of repeal." That caught Caesar off guard. You could tell. He said, "What, Brutus?" He is not used to being challenged anymore. But Cassius broke the standoff with a little bit of sucking up. "Pardon, Caesar, Caesar, pardon. As low as to thy foot doth Cassius fall, to beg of thee enfranchisement of Publius Cimber." And that's when Caesar put his foot down. I could be well moved if I were as you. If I could pray to move, prayers would move me. But I am constant as the northern star, of whose true fixed and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. The skies are painted with unnumbered sparks. They are all fire, and each of them doth shine. But there's but one in all doth hold his place. So in the world, 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive. Yet in all their number I know but one that unassailed doth hold his rank, unshaken of motion, and that I am he,
let me a little show it, even in this. That I was constant, Cimber should be banished, and constant do remain to keep him so. So he's telling us, to our faces, that he's in charge. As of now, the Republic is gone. Cinna and DECIUS tried to pipe up with their objections, but Caesar cut them right off. And that's when I said, speak hands for me!
We did it! Liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead! Liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead! The whole group had a hand in it, starting with CASCA and ending with Brutus, which caught Caesar by surprise, I must say. My lord Cassius, he said, how many ages hence shall this, our lofty scene, be acted over in states unborn and accents yet unknown? So often shall the not of us be called the men that gave their country liberty. As soon as I heard that, I thought, that's it. That's the title to the documentary. The men that gave their country liberty. Well, maybe, but Brutus was great. And some people were freaking out, but he said, no, don't be afraid. No more violence. That's it. Ambition's debt is paid. There is no harm intended to your person. And Cassius asked Mark Antony, will you be pricked in number of our friends? Or shall we on and not depend on you? Antony replied that he was friends with all of us and only requested that he be allowed to speak at Caesar's funeral. And Cassius didn't like the idea, but Brutus insisted that it would be okay. And it's less than an hour since the death of Caesar, and Brutus is about to go live.
Romans, countrymen, and lovers, hear me for my cause, and be silent that you may hear. Believe in mine honor, and have respect to mine honor, that you may believe. Censure me in your wisdom, and awaken your senses, that you may the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, any dear friend of Caesar, to him I say that Brutus's love was no less than his. If then this friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Had you rather Caesar were living to die all slaves, than that Caesar were dead to live all free men? As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honor him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. There's tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. Who is here so base that would be a bondman? If any, speak, for him I have offended. Who is here so rude that would not be a Roman? If any, speak, for him I have offended. Who is here so vile that would not love his country? If any, speak, for him I have offended. I pause for a reply. Then none have I offended. His body is mourned by Mark Antony, who, though he had no hand in his death, shall receive the full benefit of his dying, a place in the commonwealth, as which of you shall not? With this I depart, that as I slew my best lover for the good of Rome, I have that same dagger for myself when it shall please my country to need my death.
Yes. I'll just read some of the tweets that are coming in. Live, Brutus, live. Bring Brutus with triumph home unto his house. Give him a statue with his ancestors. Let him be Caesar. Caesar's better parts shall be crowned in Brutus? Oh boy. Oh, here's Mark Antony. As he gets ready to speak, there's still some tweets coming in. "'Twere best Mark Antony speak no harm of Brutus here. The Caesar was a tyrant. No more Caesar. We are blessed that Rome is rid of him." Here's Mark Antony now.
"Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I've come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often turned with their bones, so let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was, ambitious. If it was so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. For here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honourable man, so are they all honourable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. He had brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar's same ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept, ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal our thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, he is an honourable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? But yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world, and now he lies there, and none so poor to do him reverence. O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong, and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honourable men. I will not do them wrong. I'll rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself and you, than I will wrong such honourable men. But here's a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. Let but the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read. And they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds, and dip their napkins in his sacred blood, yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto their issue. I'm getting some requests to read the will, even some demands. I'll have to say, have patience, gentle friends. I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood, you are not stones, but men, and being men, bearing the will of Caesar. It will inflame you, it will make you mad. 'Tis good you know not that you are his heirs, for if you should, oh, what would come of it? Oh, I should be careful. I've overshot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honourable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it. You will compel me, then, to read the will. Then picture, if you can, the corpse of Caesar. On this dark day we cannot even gather to imagine and to see in every face what we have lost. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. I saw his corpse where Cassius ran his dagger, and what a rent the envious CASCA made, and where the well-beloved Brutus stabbed. And as he plucked his cursed steel away, the noble blood of Caesar followed it, as rushing out of doors, to be resolved if Brutus so unkindly knocked. Oh no! For Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel. Judge, oh gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindest cut of all, for when the noble Caesar saw him stab, ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished him. Then burst his mighty heart, and in his mantle muffling up his face, even at the base of Pompey's statue, which all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my countrymen! Then I and you and all of us fell down, whilst bloody treason flourished over us. Oh, now you weep, and I perceive you feel the dint of pity. These are gracious drops. Good friends, sweet friends, let me not stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. They that have done this are honourable. What private griefs they have, alas, I know not, that made them do it. They are wise and honourable, and will no doubt with reasons answer you. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. I am no orator, as Brutus is. I'll tell you which you yourselves do know. Speak of sweet Caesar's wounds, poor dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. But were I a Brutus, and Brutus Antony, there were an Antony, would ruffle up your spirits, and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar, that should move the stones of Rome to rise and mutiny. My friends, you go to do you know not what, wherein hath Caesar deserved your loves. Alas, you know not. I must tell you then. You have forgotten the will I've told you of. Here is the will. And under Caesar's seal, to every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas. Moreover, he hath left you all his walks, his private arbours and new planted orchards. On this side Tiber he hath left them you, and to your heirs forever common pleasures, to walk abroad and recreate yourselves. Here was a Caesar. When comes such another?
I'm just going to read you what's coming in right now. Never another such as Caesar. Come, away, away. Will burn his body in the holy place, and with the brands fire the traitors' houses. Take up the body, go fetch the fire, find the conspirators, pluck down benches, forms, windows.
Cinna's just always at the wrong place at the wrong time. He's always unlucky that way. I don't know, he does it. Now this is not Cinna the conspirator, no, this is Cinna the poet. He's not a very good poet either, but he has his good days. So, he's late for the funeral. That's all over. And he runs directly into one of the mobs. He's kind of running, so he looks suspicious, and they go, "What is your name? Whither are you going? Where do you dwell? Are you a married man, or are you a bachelor? Answer every man directly. Aye, and briefly. Aye, and wisely. Aye, and truly, you were best." So, Cinna is like, "What, whither, briefly, truly, wisely, truly, I says, I am a bachelor." And one of the yobs says, "That's as much as say they are fools that marry. You'll bear me a bank for that, I fear. Proceed directly. Your name, sir, truly." "Truly, my name is Cinna." "Tear him to pieces. He's a conspirator." "No, I am Cinna the poet. I am Cinna the poet." He goes, "Tear him for his bad verses. Tear him for his bad verses." He goes, "I am not Cinna the conspirator.
They weren't crazy.
A lot has happened since my last recording. Mark Antony has taken power with Caesar's nephew, Octavius. They wanted an execution spree. Weeded out a lot of the senators that they didn't like. And then they came for us. I wasn't able to keep up with it all, but I was able to get this final word from Cassius just before the battle.
This is my birthday. For on this very day was Cassius born. Be thou my witness that against my will, as Pompey was, am I compelled to set upon one battle all our liberties. You know that I held Epicurus strong at his opinion? Now I change my mind, and partly credit things that do presage. Coming to Sardis on our former ensign, 2 mighty eagles fell, and there they perched, gorging and feeding from our soldiers' hands, who to Philippi here consorted us. This morning are they fled and gone, and in their stead do ravens, crows, and kites fly over our heads and downwards look on us, as a sickly prey. Their shadows seem a canopy most fatal, under which our army lies, ready to give up the ghost.
This will have to be my goodbye. I guess my documentary won't be called The Men That Gave Their Country Liberty. There won't be much liberty around here for a while. We were completely routed. Cassius was of no mind to go on. Wasn't about to be paraded through the streets as a traitor. He told me he would grant me my freedom, but that he had one final order for me to execute. And that was to execute him. Cover his head with a blanket and run him through with his sword. And I did that. So it's time for me to go. Yeah, far away from Rome. If I can find my way through the mess out there without catching a virus or getting lynched. The authoritarians have won. For now. The democracy has been driven underground. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. So I am free. Far from this country, Pindarus shall run. Or never Roman shall take note of him.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see.